Hello everyone, I'm Jade. What we're looking at today is verb plus to. These are, you could call them a group of verbs, and they always need to have to after them, plus they always need to have an object. And the reason they need to have an object is because they're transitive verbs, and that's a grammar word that means this verb needs to have an object, otherwise it's incorrect and it's not good English. So we're looking at some of the verbs that I come across a lot that people get wrong. So they're not using a to when they use that verb, and we're looking at that. So let's start and check how much you actually know with a couple of sentences. So our first sentence, he phoned to me. What do you think about that one? Is that right? Is that one wrong? Well, phone is not in this group of verbs. It's not a transitive verb. We don't need to with that one. Now it's correct. He phoned me. What about this one? I need to speak to him. How is that one? Is that one good English? I need to speak. This bit's okay. This is not verb plus to. Here, this is just the infinitive. When we have one verb, and then we're following it with another verb in the present simple, that's why that to is there. That's not what we're talking about. But after speak, is it right here? Yes, in this example it's right. But I'm a very naughty person because I didn't put a full stop there. There should be a full stop there. And let's look at this example. Who am I speaking to? Or sometimes, whom am I speaking to? What about this one? Is this one correct? Yeah, they're both correct. In speech, you'll probably hear who am I speaking to, but formally it would be whom with an M written there, or sometimes said in speech that way. So now let's look at examples of verb plus to. These are all verbs that you should be using with to after them. And what I usually observe is people using these verbs but without the to, and it doesn't sound right then. So let's look at some example sentences. Speak to. I don't speak to Sarah. And notice how the to doesn't sound like to anymore. I don't speak to Sarah. It just becomes a schwa. We don't say it like the individual word itself. Next example, talk to. Talk to them for me. Don't know what accent that was. It just kind of came out. Yeah, we talk to someone. We need an object. Listen to. This is very good advice for all people. You should listen to me. It'd be worth it, trust me. Here's a gap. Nothing to learn here. But now we've got reply to. I'm sure he'll reply to us. I almost put, I'm sure he'll reply to me. And then it felt a bit personal, so I put us there. Next example, write to. You always write to someone. What I commonly hear, people not using to with this one. I'll write to them ASAP. Clever points for you if you know what that means. That means as soon as possible. And belong to. Excuse me, does this belong to you? You don't want to have someone come up to you and ask you that at the train station. You could get in trouble in England for that. When we come back, we're going to look at some more examples of verb plus to. Let's take a look at common errors with verb plus to. So with these verbs here, even though they feel like or seem like they're similar to the verbs that we looked at before because they're to do with communication, these ones don't take to. So sometimes I'm observing mistakes with these verbs, and that's what I want you to know. So in our example sentences, these are all wrong. We need to make changes. I phoned to him. No to. We don't need to. She called to me. No to. You're starting to get it now. No to. We emailed to them. No to. They won't answer to us. Again, no to. Will you ask to Sarah? Again, no to. We don't need to with these verbs. What else is there to know? Well, if you want to speak American English, know that there's an exception. In British English, we can't say this. He wrote me. Can't say that. Doesn't work in British English. But in colloquial/informal American English, it's okay. And I just want to point out one that I'm hearing a lot. They replied me. It's not okay in British English. It's not okay in American English either. Maybe language is evolving a bit and that's why people are saying it. But as it stands, not okay. I hear this one quite a lot. When we come back, we're taking a look at making questions with verb plus to. One issue you should know about verb plus to is that when we do questions, some people don't like it. Some people don't like it to say, who is he speaking to? For them, it's really ugly. Don't like it. But there's a way to avoid it. If you want to avoid it, you have to change the position of your sentence. So to goes from the end to the beginning. And importantly, then you need to change your pronoun. So who has to change to be whom. When this pronoun is in the object position of a sentence, that's when we add the M. Anyway, you don't really need to worry about the grammar, the why, because it's confusing when I talk about object and subject for a lot of people who don't know about grammar. All you need to do is just learn how to rearrange it. So you move to the beginning, and then it's always to whom, and then you finish the rest of the words. And that way you don't have to at the end. In informal or neutral speech, this is really common. People will say this, but it can be seen as inelegant or not very sophisticated if you write it. I probably wouldn't write it myself. Maybe in chat or something, but not in a proper letter or something. Here's another example. Let's see here. Who did you write to? Well, we don't want to finish with to, so we need to rearrange. Again, it comes to be to whom. That's easy, we just did the same. To whom did you write? And the main verb goes at the end. The auxiliary verb is next to whom. So we just change the order like that. That's all I'm going to tell you about verb plus to. If you want to do more practice, please go to the engVid website. You can do a quiz, 10 questions in a quiz. And that way, you know, next time you need to use these verbs, speak to, talk to, all those verbs, you know that you're saying them in the right way. You're using to when it's needed. And in those exceptions that I mentioned to you, you know you're not using to where it doesn't belong. If you like this lesson, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. And have I mentioned everything? I think I mentioned everything. So that's all I'm going to talk about today. Please come back and watch me again. And until next time. Bye.